Here we go. Oak and Rock Fatherhood. We are back in action. Today is Wednesday evening, which means we're running it live. We've got the Q&A going. Always. Every Wednesday is a Q&A. So if you have a question, throw that into the chat. We will address it. We do have a few from the last one, so we'll be hitting those without dropping names too. So again, if you don't want your name shared or you don't want to put out there, hit us in the DMs. Let us know. We won't share your name. We'll ask the question. We'll address it live, and we'll get that knocked out. Anthony, it's good to see you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Things are good. How's my Wi-Fi tonight? Popping?
Horrible. So everything's normal. Everything's good in the world. You're doing well, brother. You look like you're coming out of Minecraft world. We're surviving. You keep building those blocks, man, brick by brick, which makes sense if you look at your background.
We will be taking donations to have me improve my Wi-Fi at the end of the show.
We're going to run a GoFundMe, a fucking Kickstarter for your internet. Let's talk about funding. Let's talk about Kickstarters. Let's talk about building wealth and legacies and all of that. Anthony, I had someone reach out and they said, when did you introduce your children to finances, and would you introduce your children to crypto? I had to laugh because they didn't know who we are. They've obviously not seen any of our work. So when did you first introduce your kids to finances and start teaching them about how you handle money and why you do what you do with your money?
Yeah, listen, I introduced my kids to finances probably just naturally, right? As soon as they can grasp numbers and ideas. You could say starting with allowance, but we weren't too big on that. A lot of parents think that that's how they teach their kids about money, is by that you have to go work and you have to earn money. But I would say the more that I became aware is when my kids started to want to get involved. Same thing with like fitness and working out. The more I did it, the more I showed them that there was a benefit to it. They naturally gravitated towards it. And I think that a lot of the problems that we see in families, not that dads aren't just setting the example, but they're not letting their kids participate or they're not giving their kids the push to join them, right? It's always from a position of authority, right? Do what I say, do it like this. This is how you do it. If you want to make money, you got to do this. If you want to be successful, you got to go to school. So there's too many demands. When I got outside the system, when I removed myself from the system as best as I could.
Prison.
They don't let me out of the basement. No, once I got out of the system, I started to learn a lot more. Right? I stopped doing the things that everybody else was doing. And I think that intrigued my kids, especially as they got older. And, I've been in crypto now for a while, and all my kids are in it. They invest heavily. It's something we do as a family. It's family time. Most families play board games, Monopoly or the Game of Life. We literally have family nights where we learn how to trade crypto and get on different exchanges.
That's awesome, dude. Like, and that on a level, like, I'm very seriously, that's a really cool thing. The term awesome, wicked, epic, they're overused. Think about what you just said. You're all coming together to talk about different crypto exchanges and just what you're going to be doing and what you're investing in and whatnot. That should be normal. And honestly, in a world where citizens are to thrive and not be kept, as consumer little rats, that would be normal. That would be encouraged across the board. We would be learning about crypto within elementary school. Finance. We talk a lot about how, in high school, why don't they run economics in a manner where you're actually talking about things that you'll need, handling your taxes, how to invest, how to avoid taxes. Instead you're just taught addition, multiplication, and that's it. If that, I don't know much about the business management, how it's running now. I'm 34. I've been out of high school for a while, but from what I hear, they're not teaching shit about the practical application of your money and how to use it to help you make more money. It's always just the most basic of anything. And when you have kids coming out of high school and they don't know how to balance a checkbook, they don't understand what's coming in, what's going out, how to make more, how to avoid some of the pitfalls people hit, how to use a credit card, make it work for you. Parents are getting frustrated, but at the end of the day, parents didn't do anything. They didn't step up and fill that gap. So the kid's not getting it at home. He's not getting it out there. I think with more messages like what you're sharing, hopefully parents will be like, oh shit, you're right. We could have a night where we sit down and just throw it up on the screen on the TV, connect your laptop. You can do it right there with them. And it's almost like watching a show, but similar to watching a magician show, a concert. You go into a show to watch somebody perform some feat. You know, you're sitting there and you're watching something that is entertaining, but you're learning at the same time. So if you can have time to sit and watch SpongeBob, and if they can have all that time to sit and watch whatever, you know, you can sit and you can watch something entertaining. Like, hey, look at what I just did with my money. We took a similar approach. So again, my kids 12 and 9, as soon as they were able to just understand and comprehend what was going on, I was talking to them about it. People see me now. I shared a video the other day of I went down to work out and my son just showed up and he kind of saw what I was doing. He just jumped in and I was working over here. He's working out over there. And I got the video or the photo, and I think I was sending it to Phil. I was talking to philfosterfitness.com. Big shout out. That's my trainer. Get the supplements. I got a wall of supplements behind me here. But I think I was sending it to Phil.
I don't have any shelves in the basement.
You're in the brick alley, man. You're working out like Rocky style, chasing some chickens and picking up logs and shit. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. But that didn't just happen. You know, at 12, he's doing that because when he was way little, he watched me do it. And I would bring him with me. Hey, we're going to go work out with the sailors and the Marines. And every now and then I would bring him right into the group and we'd be doing our workouts and little man would be walking between these kids in uniforms trying to keep up. Well, now he works out with me. Same thing with money. It's no different. Hey, here's why I bought this. Here's why I didn't buy that. Here's why we're saving up here. Here's why we're spending a little extra there. I would just talk to them about it. And just like everything else we talk about, when you remove that taboo, it loses its power. It's not mysterious. Money's not some foreign thing we're uncomfortable talking about. Here's what we have. Here's what we want. Here's how we're getting there. If you don't talk about that, you'll never get there. Yeah. So that was our first question on finances. So I like how you segued into that with the whole kickstarting Anthony's internet fund. It's perfect. You're looking much better.
All right, good. My Wi-Fi's caught up.
Yeah.
But no, think about that, right? We see it clear as day, right? If we want our kids to be healthy and fit, we have to set the example. Usually, if you want to have wealth, success, you want to show your kids how to succeed in that avenue. And I think it's important to note that if you want kids who are well behaved, who can emotionally regulate themselves, we have to do the same, right? You can't have it both ways. If you want your kids to not be a mean person, to not purposely hurt other people's feelings or be a bully, you can't bully them, right? And just to emphasize on the point of how much of an influence we have as fathers, we have to be aware of it. And we have to make sure that we're always, not that we're always on our game, top of our game, but that we're always trying to do what's best. We're always trying to do the right thing, whether it's fitness, finances, or how we behave ourselves. I think it's important to show our kids that good image.
Well, that too, but I mean, let's take it a step further. Look at the dude, Zack Staf, the football player who slammed, his baby mama into the ground after throwing her into a TV. That dude he was in the NFL. So top 1% physique and athletic ability, literally top 1% in the world. He had that genetics, training, drive, discipline to work out. He had it all. Money. I know that he was in the NFL. That comes with some money. His career, he bounced around a little bit, whatever. The dude had enough money, though. He was not living paycheck to paycheck, as long as he spent it properly. He had fame. If you put down NFL running back onto your resume, somebody somewhere, you're going to be getting attention. Just saying those words, hey, I was in the NFL. That's a status marker that very few can say. And this dude had something that was unresolved within his soul. And even though he had all the things that people think they want to be Chad, you got the looks, you got the money, you got the fame, notoriety, you're the man. And you still aren't happy because you've got some shit inside your body that you did not heal. You never treated, and that unresolved trauma, probably from childhood, found its way out. And it ruined that dude's entire life.
Probably.
No, yeah, you're right. The video, you can't argue with the video, man. Like that was no joke.
We had that, we just did a whole episode on, removing violence in your home. This is exactly what it creates. It creates a man who's going to abuse his power over a woman, put a child in a frightened state, in a fearful state. And that's the environment of his home. That's what he chose. Right? That's the model he chose to show his girlfriend and their daughter. I don't know their marital status. But think about that. Think about having everything, thinking that your life is on point and that everything is good and going in a great direction. and you have no self-control. You have these voices in your head telling you that you have to rage and you have to be angry, and you don't know how to direct it in a healthy way. And who are you going to hurt? You're going to hurt the people who love you the most and the people who you can hurt, right? The people who are weak and smaller than you. So it's a vicious act, man. It's horrible that this happens in homes and generations, right? That man never was able to leave the home that he was brought up in. And I don't even know what it was like, but I would 100%, well, I would assume that he was raised in a violent home, right? We talk about this all the time. 80% of parents still hit their kids. It's not uncommon. It's happening all the time, and it's happening way too often.
And it shows too. There's kind of two lines of thought. My brain's going down here, so I think we should just hit them both. The first is that man left wherever he came from, but he literally left it. He grew up, he made it. The dude went to Vanderbilt. That in case you've never heard of it, it's a pretty prestigious college. Alex Feinberg, he went to Vanderbilt, played baseball there. Dude, it's a nice place that puts out solid athletes. How he got there, what he did to get there, I have no idea. I don't know the dude's story again. What I know though is that where he came from, it never left him. He left his parents' home. He left that environment, but in his head, he was still trapped somewhere dark. Whether it was a cage from his upbringing, whether it was people around him, I don't know what caused it, but I can say when you have the things he has, but on the inside, you've not changed to become a person who can find peace with those things, you're going to lose it. And he lost it in a nuclear manner. Nobody walks around that angry. There's no way a woman should have that power over a man to, even if she said something or gave him an attitude, or it doesn't matter what she did. Nobody should have that ability to manipulate and emotionally control another individual. And that dude lost his emotions to a level that was, again, when we say life-changing, the dude destroyed his own fucking life. He went from the dude who's like kind of bouncing around, not a has-been, but like, hey, maybe you're coming down from the apex of your career, to dude, you're sitting in jail. Literally, you've lost everything. You're not even free enough to go out and take a piss without being told you're allowed to. You can't go out and play. You can't go for a fucking ride to the damn CVS. You can sit in your fucking cell and rot because a woman did something, because inside your head you couldn't figure it out and overcome it. And therefore, you're now back to, I guess, all the way to square one. You started wherever you started, made it to the top, crashed right back to the bottom. But now it's because of this. I can't do it. It's nobody's fault but his. And I wonder if he is aware of that. I wonder if he's sure what even got him to the point where he was that angry.
Probably not. I doubt it, man. Listen, monsters are created, right? This guy is a product of the environment, product of the home he was raised in. And I don't want to give him any excuses, but he, like you said, he probably has no idea what's going on. He doesn't know how to control himself. He doesn't know why there's so much pain and so much anger and hate inside of himself. So it's something he can't escape. It's something he's not going to get rid of, unless he's willing to do some work, unless he's willing to really look and evaluate himself honestly. But what disturbs me is he threw and tossed that woman around like a rag doll, body slammed her, threw into the TV. If he were to do that to the child, there wouldn't have been as big as a backlash. There wouldn't have been that many eyes and ears on it and people talking about it and seeing it.
Holy shit, dude. I'm immediately thinking of Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Dude, you're right.
Which is crazy. And I'm not saying that it's good that he hit his wife or his girlfriend, but it's insane if you think about it, that we normalize to a degree the level or the amount of physical violence that we can inflict on our kids. If you were to lightly hit a woman, as if you were a man and you were lightly hit a woman, smack her, give her a light, jab or something, nobody would accept that. Everybody would speak out against it. Everybody would be against it. But with Adrian Peterson, right, he's hitting his kids with tree branches. And there wasn't this big social media or just mainstream narrative of saying that what this guy did was evil. There were a lot of people saying that, oh, it's discipline. This is how you teach your kids. This is how I got hit with a switch. If I didn't do it, I would have been dead, right? It saved my life. It made me a better person that my father beat me with a stick. It's insanity. It really is.
Yet it's replicated over and over, and it's going to continue. And so let's look at the other side of this. That's not the first time he hit her. That's probably not the fifth time he's hit her. What environment was she raised in where that's acceptable? Why the fuck after the very first instance, dude? I can't even imagine. Oh, that scared the shit out of me. I'm glad, all is good. Your internet's fucked up and the family made a presence known. I almost jumped though, like for real. And we're live and people are seeing this, so that's good. At least I didn't scream, man. I'm sitting here trying to have a deep thought, and that was like right in my ear. So give that dog a good pet. It deserves a treat. It got me. I broke frame. But think about it, dude. That woman was taking that for him, and she had the baby in that environment. Why? Was it for the sake of it's okay, he doesn't mean it, he loves me? And how was she raised to think that's love? Was it the paycheck? I mean, was it staying with the dude because of who he was? And again, I don't know enough about these people to go too deep into it, man. But from just a surface level looking at it, the dude is emotionally unstable and probably came from a shitty environment, which led to this. He couldn't get over it. And she was probably raised in an environment where she wasn't getting something that she needed, because if she was, she would have had the self-respect and the courage to say, fuck this, I'll make it on my own. I'd rather be by myself than with an abusive asshole. And again, that's not from the white knight angle. Oh, you princess, you deserve more. No, I'm saying she's fucked up too. And she needs some help. And let's trace it back to her parenting. That kind of seems where we both go with most things is if you keep peeling it back, you find yourself back to childhood. Fucked up people have to get over that, or you're going to stay fucked up. You're not going to get to where you're trying to go. And unfortunately, it's painful to fix yourself, but it's much more painful to not fix yourself, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And, if you think about it, it's clear as day, right? You have a woman who accepts somebody physically abusing her in her life, potential to harm her child. And that's their home environment. That's what they accept, right? That's where she wants to live. That's what she wants her life to be like. And where does that come from? Where could we learn that it's okay for people to abuse you, for people to hurt you physically and emotionally, right? Those are some deep-rooted scars, man, that we carry from childhood. And it's only going to stop once we honestly stop abusing children. We stop abusing our kids. We stop treating them like they are not humans, that they're inferior to us, that they don't matter. But it's a vicious cycle because it keeps repeating because we never got that as a child. So now we create a home and that environment stays the same. Or sometimes it gets worse. And then you're marrying somebody and you're bringing somebody in from a dysfunctional home. It creates a real problem, right? It creates a real dilemma of the family unit and how you guys view how people should be treated. It's I don't know if you ever heard of this, Zach, but the ACE score, the Adverse Childhood Experience, it's a test that they give kids. It's 10 questions, and they give you 10 questions on different types of abuse, or like if a parent, one of your parents was ever arrested, if you've seen physical violence in the home, if you drug addiction, and the higher up on your score determines your mental health, right? It determines how well you're going to succeed in life. And there's a lot of underlying factors with behavior, with cognitive ability, and all different things. So, and the reason I bring it up is with my kids, we have an ongoing joke about how any boyfriend or any girlfriend, we have to ask them that question, right? What's your adverse childhood experience test score? Yeah, no, it's you laugh, but it's a serious thing, brother, right?
But that's why I'm laughing though. Earlier you're talking about like which exchange, like we've had this talk a few times, like just looking at your life, it really motivates me. Like I fucking love your life and the shit that you talk about because it's so different than the majority, but it's exactly the type of shit I want to talk about and be involved in. You're just like, hey dude, like what's your ACE score? People are gonna be like, what the fuck is that? When we had Lily on, and we were talking to her about things, and you and her, yeah, ACE, and she started talking about authors and these people, and you're like, yeah, this person, that person. I'm like, dude, I found my way here through what I saw as right in the world, but not through like you guys have found what was right in the world and then went the next level to better understand it. And that's where I am now on that journey, is starting to read the book, starting to look more deep into these things that you're talking about, because it should be normal. Like it should be totally comfortable and a normal thing to be like, hey man, where are you coming from? Like what's your background? Oh, well, I went to school here. No, no, no. Your back. What made you you? What did you have to overcome? Like what, how were you brought up? Why did you decide to go to school for what you went to school for? Why did you choose the sport? Like, dude, there's so much to it, but that's what the real person is. And that was the second line of thought that I was kind of going down. But I kind of interrupted there because I was definitely laughing at what you said, but it was fucking on the money, dude.
No, yeah, I get it. I do want to point out though, it doesn't mean that you're doomed if you came from a bad childhood. There's always opportunity. There's always room for growth. There's always ways to get better. But you do have to be honest, and you have to take a look at the people you have in your life, how you let people treat you, how you're treating other people. Because ultimately, you have a choice on who you spend your time with, right? Who you're going to marry, who you're going to have kids with. You were talking earlier about school. Why doesn't school teach about relationships? Why don't they have classes on how to build connection and intimate relationships with people and create families? Like, why? How come that's not a class? They teach you how to make pancakes in home ec, but are they teaching you how to build a marriage, how to work on a marriage, and how to sustain some kind of normalcy and healthy attachment with each other? It's not what they want.
Dude, that's that's a really good question, man. You know who would be great for that discussion? We need to get Adam Lane Smith on here. He's been going down the whole attachment, like he's all in on attachment and the pros, the cons, what good attachment looks like. If you've had bad attachments, how to get over it and face it. So we might need to get him on, or at least have that discussion, because I was talking money, dude. Like I've always said, like, hey, schools should teach about banks and they should teach about fitness, so we don't have obesity and we don't have poor people who are in debt. I didn't even think of relationships, and that's the third big one, right? Health, wealth, relationships. Why
Yeah.
don't they?
Well, because they want you fat, unhealthy,
Yeah,
poor, and
exactly.
divorced.
Well, dude, so there are the two angles I was speaking on. You know, we hit one pretty hard. The next one, though, when you look at a lot of dads and ask them, well, why are you still spanking? Why are you still yelling? Like, why are you so like just hard on the kid? You know, like you're raising a soldier as opposed to a son. And it's always like, oh, making them ready for the world. The world's hard, or they're living vicariously. You know, he's going to be all the things I wasn't. Or, and this is where you have those little trophy kids, I'm going to raise a Chad. I'm going to raise the kid whose notch count's going to be 100 before he leaves high school. The kid who's going to be, you know, 6 feet tall, six pack, you know, making six figures by the time he's 6 years old. Rah! That's who I'm going to be. And dude, let's go back to Zack Staf. Jacked, wealthy, famous. All of this shit is super. I'm pointing like this. I made a list. All of that stuff is just fucking superficial masculinity. It's the faux alpha, you know, the fake alpha. I'm going to sit on my porch and shoot the kid dating my daughter. No, you're not, pussy. You're afraid to face him. You're afraid to have a conversation with him, because what if that boy squares up on you? Hey, sir, how you doing? You're afraid to shake a hand. You're the one who's stuttering. You don't know how to make eye contact because you know you're weak on the inside. You see, people who are strong, when you raise a strong son on the inside, you don't really care what it is he's doing, as long as he's doing what he wants to do and he's getting what he wants to get. Not to please society, not to please some woman, not to please his parents. He's doing what he wants to do because he is a young man becoming a man. And that's what masculinity is. Living life on your terms. We just covered a story where the dude had everything these fucking dudes are talking about. I want my kid to be rich, Jack, blah, blah, blah. Then why don't you think you could sit and have a peaceful connection with that kid and still achieve those things, but do so in a manner where he's not going to blow it up later in life from all the fucking rage and repressed, you know, anger and anxiety that's inside his soul? Why can't, it's not an either or. You don't beat masculinity into a kid. You don't beat strength into a kid. You guide them to finding those things through your lived example. And if you're a fat dad, if you've been Peter Griffin or Homer Simpson for the past 10 years and your boy's 10 years old and all he knows is fat you and he's weak too, and you've been trying to like beat it into him, put him on the train of success and growth with you. Start your workouts together. Start eating right together. Start talking about money together. Tell your son how you fucked up. Look him in the eyes and say, hey, man, I made a lot of mistakes. I got really comfortable. I got this promotion. I was fighting my whole life to get this promotion. I got the promotion, started making real money. And then I got fat because I got super comfortable and I let all these material things kitchen in and going out to eat. And we're sitting there and we're sitting down all the time. Our climate controlled everything and vacations. So extra food and extra booze, driving around, seeing these wonderful things. You got comfortable, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You just got to recognize it and you got to fix it. You're like you said, you're not doomed to who you are. Who you were does not dictate who you become. And people think I say that only from my story of youth to an adult. Man, I'm 34 now, and who I am right now is not going to dictate who I become when I'm 44. I'm going to choose that along the way. I'm going to decide. It's never going to be decided for me. I make that choice every day. I'm going to be better today. Even just sitting down and doing this call with you, we were talking about Oak and Rock, and just this is an extension of something that just makes my soul feel good. So I'm not going to have that complex of like, what's my purpose? Why am I on this earth? And, sitting there with anxiety riddled, popping pills to numb it away because I'm afraid of the answer. Dude, I know why the fuck we kicked the shit off early. I couldn't wait to do this, man. And that's just how a lot of my life is. And when you teach that to your child through your example, man, they're going to bloom, dude. And you're going to have the kid who's healthy, wealthy, and in great relationships. You're going to have the kid who takes care of his mind, his body, his spirit without slamming women into the ground, without being a womanizer and trying to find, success and accomplishment through a hole so he can run to his dad and say, hey, guess what I did? Like, dude, I don't care what you did, man. Are you happy? All right, then just go do you. It shouldn't be some milestones or metrics we have to hit to make dads happy to feel like a man.
Am I back?
You never left. You got a little choppy, but you never left.
No, and the subject about men and them being held accountable, being a good man. That guy Zack Staf, right? When I think about him, he had everything, or so we thought he did. But I think that is a good reflection of the breakdown of the family. And I say that because if this guy was so popular, making money, where were the people who cared about him? Right? Where were the people who loved him? Where was his family? How do you get into a position where you can physically harm, physically hit, body slam your girlfriend, and there's nobody there to intervene? There's nobody there who sees the signs. And to me, that's a big thing, right? Where are the people who love this man in his life? Why does he have nobody? And I'm not asking you that question. I'm just saying as a whole societal issue, right? If so many eyes are on that man, just like take any scandal that we've seen in the last 10 years. We talked about the Penn State thing, and like, why is everybody turning a blind eye to these evil fucking acts? Where are the people who are supposed to love you, who's supposed to hold you accountable, who's supposed to be by your side and telling you, hey man, you're messing up, right? You can't be hitting women, you can't be bringing violence into your home. Why does that happen? Like, what? I don't really. Again, I'm not asking you questions, Zach. To me, it's mind-boggling that it does happen. Let me rephrase it. Right? It's crazy and it's sad that these things continue to happen, and these people's lives were so empty. And the point is, this is why we're doing what we're doing. We're bringing our families connected. We're making them connected. We're getting that healthy attachment, and we want to teach our kids what love is, what good relationships are, and what they're going to ultimately do is have their own families, and that's going to just keep spreading. So maybe in time we will see these things, or these people who are created, these monsters, slowly go away. But we have to keep fighting to do what's right. We have to, as men, we have to keep living with virtue, with integrity, and with honesty. And we can't hide from it, or we can't run from it. Right? When we see evil shit, we need to call it out. Not only do we need to call it out, but we need to say that this shit is evil and it needs to stop.
You know, it's interesting how far this goes too. You know, sometimes the micro really does reflect the macro. And on the small level, just this once in, I hate that the dude's name is Zach. Like, I would like to address that also publicly. He spells it the same way as myself. It's just annoying. I'm like, dude, come on, man. I don't want to look my name up. I see the dude body slamming his lady, but neither here nor there. This dude, Zack Staf, you know, he probably had a lot of people that could have reached out. I'm like, dude, we need to find some peace, man. You're like right on the edge. You're going to blow up. They could have saved him before this happened. But let's look at, you know, I'm going to call her Ghislaine Maxwell, but I don't know what the hell, the Epstein lady, and how they're not airing out the trial. And they're not going to show the trial. They're not going to let people see what's going on. There's like a gag order and all that. And you have to wonder how journalists and this news, which have found their way into the recesses of every corner of everything to talk about it, can't find their way or even want to make this one of the biggest stories of the century. I mean, we're talking about children who are exploited to these people of influence, and we don't want to talk about that. We don't think that now is a good time to chop the head off this thing. And I want to hope that it's not like the Hydra situation. Well, if we get these guys, it's going to breed more of them. No, actually, right now, you could go through that list. You know the names. You know she's saying shit that they don't want people to hear. Why? Why don't you want to hear that Bill Clinton? Why don't you want to hear that insert X politician? Why do you want to hear about that dude over there or this dude over here who was made to disappear? Why don't you want to know what they did to these kids? Because that'll change your opinion of that adult. Why does the adult and his reputation get placed higher than the fucking child who was taken advantage of? These girls are screaming in silence. I was scrolling through. I found some of their stories where they're like, nobody's listening to me. The girls who were there, 16 years old, 15 years old, 14 years old, trying to tell their story, and they're being told, shut the fuck up. Why are we more worried about protecting the reputation of a celebrity than the innocence of a child that was stripped of them? I think we're in a situation, hey, what's the priority here? Society doesn't care about the kids. They want to protect the entertainers, the influencers, the ones who have the money to ever tell, hey, you guys better keep quiet because I'm bringing money to your pocket. So if I go down, you go down. Oh, let's circle the wagons. Let's protect ourselves. Fuck those kids. Unfortunately, literally, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't take the high road on that one. It's fucked up. I'm right. I told you, man. I'm trying to keep like the governor down because I don't want to just rant on this fucking microphone. But these are kids. This is real. And when we start having this discussion and highlighting these things, and it gets a little uncomfortable, and people are like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that. Let's just talk about making more money." And that, no, dude, this is about everything. We'll talk about money. We have made videos on money. We've made videos on fitness. We've made videos on connection and peace, and clarity and connection and overcoming adversity. We've done all that. But this isn't a show for sunshine and rainbows. It's a show for the discussion as to what's going on. And what's going on is kids are being masked. Kids are being jabbed. Kids are being told to sit down, shut up, and color. Somebody was talking about, well, what do you do to somebody who's in prison that's really bad? Well, you isolate them. And what do you do to somebody who's really bad and they murdered somebody and they killed somebody and they did the worst of the worst? They took somebody's light. They killed somebody's mother, somebody's brother, somebody's father. You isolate them. And if they're bad in prison, you isolate them further. What are we doing to kids? What did these kids do to get the same fate as those prisoners? Hey, kids, mask up and separate. You need to isolate. Can't go and play. Can't go to school. Can't see your friends. Can't see your friends' faces. Isolate, separate, isolate, separate. Fear, 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 fear. You're pumping it into these kids. And in some homes, there is no shield. And I've been really banging that drum this week, dude, where they're like, well, what do I do? I'm so nervous. There was a lady I was talking to on Twitter today. So big shout out to, I think her name's Lara, Lara. Lara, boy mom. She has sons, and she said she's worried about their future. And she's like, I'm praying for it to be better and all these things. I was like, look, keep praying. Keep that positive focus. It'll get better. But more importantly, keep loving those kids. They need to know they're loved. They need to be connected. Just keep letting them know, hey, it's going to be good. We're good. The world's a little weird, but we're not weird. It can be dark out there. When you walk in that front door, you walk on that front lawn, it's light, it's bright, you're safe, you're loved, and all your friends can come here. You're not isolated. You're connected. That's what these kids need, man. And that's the message we cannot stop. I don't give a fuck if we start running these and there's one view on every time we talk about it. We will sit and continue to talk about it because that's the message that's needed.
Yeah. No, that's truth, man. you were spot on when you said that this stuff continues because of status, right? People who are in a higher position and they allow it to happen, whether it's for money, fame, whatever it may be. I think there's an underlying cause that we seem to overlook, right? So kids are being mistreated, kids are being messed up, they're being jabbed, they're being told to sit down and shut up, basically. This is what childhood has reverted to. And to me, it's telling because if we have parents who were raised in abusive homes and they were taught to normalize abuse and not just normalize the abuse, but to allow the abusers in their life, right? To now they're going to grow up. And when I tell a parent to stop hitting their kid, they're not going to be like, oh, all right, yeah, that makes sense. They're going to be so far ingrained into their conditioning that they sympathize with their abusers. They love their abusers, and that's to me that's what you're seeing with the government right now. Is we're seeing a system that continually abuses us, that continually tells us how we should live, what we should do, how we should treat our kids, what type of jobs we should have, what jobs we can't have, and nobody's really. I don't want to say that they're not questioning it, but it's happening. It's here, right? It's at your front door. And it continues to go on and there's not outrage. The same way, like if I tell another parent to stop hitting your kid, they don't get, they don't get outraged at themselves. They don't say, oh, I should stop hitting my kid. That's right, it makes sense. They say, no, I was hit and I was spanked and I turned out fine. So to me, there's a level to that where the abuse is going to continue to happen until we stop abusing children. Because these parents, these adults that you see now, they're acting like kids. They're afraid, they're conditioned in fear, and they're not going to stand up for themselves because they've been told or they've been taught that the abuse is supposed to happen.
When you normalize, I mean, this is what bothers me so much is no matter how popular wrong is, it's still wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and spanking, it falls into that category. People are like, oh, get the vaccine, it's good for you. It's going to save everybody. Like altruism is not like the altar of holiness. You're not a good person for putting everybody else ahead of yourself. Sometimes you got to take care of you. And I see that with spanking. It's, not quite as altruistic, but more so along the lines of, well, this is just the way it is. Do not question this. This should not ever change. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do we grow? Like, how do we evolve as this? How are we still doing the same thing they're doing in the 1850s? Like, what do you mean this is the way it is? Like, we don't do, what is that, bloodletting? We don't just cut wrists and cut parts of the body, let them bleed out because that'll make them feel better anymore. We're not doing lobotomies. Like, why are we evolving everywhere else except for with parenting, which is literally raising the next generations of human beings? Here's the answer. Spanking, hitting, yelling, all these things are really quick fixes and makes it easier for lazy parents. Bottom line, that's what it comes down to. It takes more effort to do more, and they don't want to do the effort. Same reason why there's obesity. Dude, we're not eating the way we were eating back then. People are like, oh, let's have this all new food. Back then, they had vegetables and meat. Why don't you want to just eat that? If you want to keep doing everything the way they did it, go back to some fucking potatoes and beef and some chicken, and that's it. Oh, you love your pizza. Oh, okay. And all that processed shit. You can snap your fingers and food's at your door.
Yeah.
Grubhub, spanking, same thing. It's a quick fix. It doesn't take much effort.
Instant gratification.
But hey, so I do want to talk about something that's trending a little bit.
Yeah.
And I saw it this week, so kind of hitting my hot topics of the week. And one of those was paternity leave. For some reason, that's been brought up and it kind of went down, and then went way up. And all of a sudden, like my whole timeline for a little while was just talking about should dads take time out of work to be with their kids? And I was like, why the fuck first, why is this a question? Like, let's start there. How have jobs made themselves so integral to our life? Oh, and that's the other one that I'm going to associate with this. That mom who went to work 3 days after giving birth.
Ooh.
And she was super proud. Like, she was super pumped. So I'm going to lump those two together. I was going to do a little separate, but fuck it. How have our professions, how have companies been so successful? I don't know if it's advertising, but they have made themselves an integral part of people's identities to where they will literally like The placenta just hit the floor and they're like, I got to get back on the job. What are you doing? Spend time with your child who's brought into the world. And dude, why do you feel like a sack of shit for taking 48 hours off to be with your kid? You feel bad because you were there for the birth of your child and you didn't take the next day off? Oh man. Yeah, you're some shitbag by making your family a higher priority than your fucking $11.50 an hour job. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Oh man. So where do you want me to start? Paternity leave?
Let's go with paternity leave. I got a lot in my head, man. I need to calm the fuck down. This is tea too. I'm supposed to be like relaxed. Jackie made me like this nice little tea, put some like cinnamon stick in here. And I'm just like, nope. As soon as the camera goes on, we're fighting the internet.
No, I think there's different countries that have extended paid maternity leave for mothers. In this country, obviously, they have it, and I guess there's a push for paternity leave. Um, I think this, honestly, my opinion on this, Zach, is that it wouldn't be an issue if families were squared away. So, if you
What do you
were a
mean by that?
I mean, if you were expecting a baby, you would be prepared. You would have
Mhm.
savings. And I'm not saying quit your job. What I'm saying is that when it happened, you would be able to take vacation time. You would be able to tell your boss, hey, listen, my wife had a baby. I'm going to stay home for 2 weeks. I'm going to stay home for 2 months. That job wouldn't dictate what you do with your family. And it sounds bizarre because most people, again, instant gratification, they're living paycheck to paycheck. But going back to the conversation in the beginning of this about finances, right? If we could become better financially, if we can become smarter with how we spend our time, how we spend our money, when your wife has a baby, there's no question about what you have to do. Who's going to allow you? Is my boss going to allow me to take time off? Will I lose my job? We don't even have to think about that. And I think that's even a conversation you have prior with your boss. It. I employed guys for over 20 years, and I don't think any of them were fathers. They're mostly former inmates and bikers. But if one of them was a father and they wanted to take time off to be with that kid, I would be like, yeah, man, go ahead.
You ran a daycare, right? That's what you did.
No, I would honestly, I would be like, take as much time off as you need. Right? We'll handle the duties here. Don't worry. Right? Especially if that man was an integral part of the company. He was coming, working hard, and he had integrity, and he showed me that he was of good character. I would have no problem extending any amount of time to that man that he can take care of his kids. Um, so that's my ideas on that. I think we need to stop looking for the answers from other people. Right? If I could take time off, is my boss going to allow me? We have to start doing what's right. And to go into the mothers that after 36 hours of having a baby, they go back to work. We know that's not right. Right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you have a child and your husband goes to work and now 3 days later you're going back to work and your kid's in daycare being raised by strangers, you're setting your kid up for failure. And I know I might catch some heat from that if we have any mothers who watch this.
No, dude, as you said that, so I went to the article that had caught my eye a few days ago and I brought it up. Right when you said that, I just read this. So listen, some pre-pandemic research shows that 1 in 4 women were going back to work within 10 to 14 days. It's awful that so many American children are being born into families where that is the beginning of their life, as it's dangerous for their health and it's dangerous for the mother's health. But it is the reality. So for anybody saying you're going to catch shit, the warning you're giving is true.
Yeah.
It's not good for the mom. It's not good for the baby. These are like scientifically proven things. And now there's obviously my opinion, but there's also fact. There is researched facts. Every single person they're talking to is like, yo, your kid's better off with the mom. The kid is better off with the parents. The kid is better off with its family and not with strangers who are running out the door to get back into their cube. And shout out to Colton, who says a friend of his works for the gas company and they got 3 months off. It's beautiful, man. 90 days to get yourself up and running with the family, get everything squared away. And then you walk back out. All right, hey, going back to the workforce. We have our system. We have a routine. The baby's taken care of. we're both feeling good physically. We're able to get some sleep back in. Things are normal. Now you can step out. So it's like you said, dude, it's not about quitting the job, but family shouldn't be second to your income, to your fucking pay. A job is just a job, man. It's just a job.
Yeah. Scarcity mindset. Cost of living is extremely high right now. So there are a lot of factors that go into it and why we do what we do. I would say being in New York, a former New Yorker, um, these families, they had 3 cars in the driveway, BMWs, Mercedes. They had a big 3,000 square foot house, in-ground pool. They weren't doing this because they needed to survive. They were doing it because it became normalized, and women didn't have to stay home, right? They were told that they were ruining their life, that their life had no meaning and purpose, that they need to go out and have a job like men do. And the studies have shown recently on that topic that women who join the workforce or who work as much as men are severely unhappy. There's high levels of depression, and it's and I'm not backtrack. I'm not saying that women should not go out and work. What I'm saying is we need better priorities, and we need to, just how we did the episode of how important fathers are. We need to start bringing attention as a society how important families are. And once men, once fathers can start to implement that back into their home, and we can maybe once again have parents take pride in raising children, raising healthy children, raising kids who, if their mother stays home with them and the father stays married to that mother, they're going to have greater decrease in addiction, in learning disabilities, in attention disabilities, in obesity. There's going to be numerous things. There's going to be millions of things that are going to help improve their life if we just focus on that more. The family unit, and back to traditional, everything back to traditional ways, except for traditional parenting. We want to change that. We want to bring some peaceful parenting, positive parenting, get away from the shit that was done to prior generations with abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, neglect, and shame. We got to keep building. And to me, that's what most of it's about.
I have a pretty cool story about Jackie and the jobs that she had that worked around the Navy and what I was doing. And it'll be like a whole episode. So I'll save it for prioritizing the family and making families, the top of the list. But I do want to say, when I left the Navy, and we spoke about this, the reason I left the Navy is to be a more present husband and father. I love the Navy, but I couldn't be home. I was gone too much. It just wasn't working for me. When I got out, I didn't have a job. I literally left the Navy. I had 60 days of leave. So it was like terminal leave. So I had 2 months pretty much to find a job. And then my salary was ending. And I was like, fuck it. Like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Like, that's been like my MO forever. Like, I'll just make it work. Like, whatever it is, I'll do that thing. So I left, no job. Within 2 months, I was given a job at, it's a glass factory. So they make like huge, like big things of glass. I had to cut it, break it, and then put it onto this little thing. And they'd load it up and bring it to wherever it's going. And I crushed it, dude, because I was working, I'm pretty sure, with like a bunch of cons, a bunch of people who were just like unmotivated. Like, they were just work release. And here's me out of the military, like pretty much out of prison. But like, I was like high speed, low drag. Like, these dudes, they were in the union taking their time. They were like, oh, you got to slow down, man. And I was like, fuck you. Like, let's go. And so I'm cruising it, knocking it out. And they're like, dude, like, we're going to look at a supervisory position for you, like within the next month. And then that's going to catapult you to shift and all, like, whatever, a lot of opportunities. And this other job had called me at that time. So what they were guaranteeing me was pretty much 70K plus within my first month there, and to grow after that and be part of the union. Fantastic shit. The other job called offering me $43,000, and I quit the glass factory and took it. The glass factory would have had me working 70 plus, 60 plus hours a week. Easy. It was a full-time job and then some. Like, it was constant. You look at the government job I took, is fucking like almost half the pay, but it was just a 9 to 5. All I wanted was just a set control of my time. So while I was motivated and kicking these dudes' ass, I'm like, yeah, I can make some money. We're going to make so much freaking money. I didn't want to be an absent dad. I just left the military for that. Family was first, not the money. And so I focused on that job. I took that government job and I was an admin. So I went from a motivated sailor in the Navy to this dude walking around with these other dudes, very male dominated environment, to literally working in an office with 3 other women and doing paperwork. I'm not an admin guy. And my supervisor had straight up told me, he's like, you are not my first pick, man. But the 2 people I picked before you dropped out. So tag, you're it. And I was like, yeah, cool. I ended up becoming like a pretty good staple in that workforce. And to where like I didn't really do much admin. I just moved shit around. And I was kind of like, Zach, go be security. Zach, there's a heavy box you need to move. Go do that. Like, don't touch the paperwork. You're going to fuck it up. I took the time that I had free from that job. I created the Family Alpha podcast. I created the Family Alpha YouTube channel. Created the Fraternity of Excellence with Craig. Coached my kids for 4 or 5 years through baseball. Coached my daughter soccer. Coached them both in basketball. And I was there every single day for my wife. I built a 6-figure plus brand using a $40,000 job that gave me time, as opposed to chasing the dollar at a higher paying thing that took my time from me. By making my family the top priority, I was able to build something that sustained me with my family. The Family Alpha was built by a choice of making family the cornerstone. So by saying what we're saying, I don't want it to be lost or even mixed with this, that by choosing to make your family a priority, you're stripping your own ambitions. Because that's not it, man. It couldn't be further from the truth. But because of the way that society has sort of shifted with incredible precision, that work is your purpose. You must serve your job. Work weekends, work holidays. That's what a good person does. Because that's happening, people think I'm saying be a bad person. I'm not. I'm saying be selfish with your time and be there for your fucking family. That's when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to be like, fuck, man, I wish I got another paycheck. And be like, fuck, I wish I had another hour with my family. That's what it's going to fall back to. And you know it. I know it. We're saying it. We're living it. People watching this are going to be like, yeah, I totally get that. Well, then do it. Don't just recognize the problem. Put your solution, like implement now. And you had said the cost of living is high. Dude, it's wild out there. But if you stripped everything from me right now and threw me out and said, hey, you have no income right now, we would finish this fucking call. I would have something tomorrow. I would show up, I would make it work, and I would build this motherfucker right back up. I don't care if the times aren't perfect, man, because the time's never going to be perfect.
As soon as we hung up, you would have called me right back and be like, dude, what's this Bitcoin thing?
I'm going to the moon, baby.
No, but listen, man, it's a good example what you gave, Zach. And your story and what you went through and what you did, I think that is how we need to teach our kids now. Right? This is I remember when I was growing up, and maybe even prior to that, right there was a point in time where parents were telling their kids to go, like, you can be whatever you want, right? Go chase your dreams, go do great things in the world. And then I feel like after I grew up, a lot of the generations after me, they were like, get a safe job, just do something, right? Don't cause any waves, just be complacent, be compliant, do what everybody else wants you to do. And that, to me, that it's not only is it sad, but it's something that we should not be teaching our kids, right? To fear life, to fear if things aren't always going the way that we want it to go. Me and you, we've both had our ups and downs, and we've always come out on top, right? We always have persevered, and we become stronger from it. And when you're, especially my kids, right? My kids are older now. They are a little bit skeptical of what's going on in the world. They're actually really skeptical. But they see the madness, they see the craziness and everything that's going on. And, to a degree, I'm, I feel bad for them, but to that degree also, I don't. Like, I want them to be the outlier. I want them to be the weird one, the adults or the grown adults who are not like everybody else. I want them to have different avenues and think differently and think critically and think outside the box. And I don't want them to be afraid of that, right? I don't want them to have this fear of being weird or from being different from everybody else. And I I think that's tough to do, right? It's tough to put yourself on the outside when so many people are doing the same thing, and they're not, and that same thing doesn't involve building healthy families. It doesn't. It's not involved with bringing people together. And again, going back to always doing the right thing, right? Doing what we know to be right. So it's it's definitely a strange time to have your kids being grown up and raised in these weird in this weird world.
Man, oh, the fucking dogs got me again. I had a good thought too, dude, and it's gone. Just dissipated, evaporated before our eyes. Anybody, if you freeze it at that moment at what was that, 55:39, I had a stroke. Holy fuck, dude. I feel like they're fucking with me. I feel like the
No,
dog's just like, we're gonna get that mother. It's been a minute. Let's get him. Hey, so you
the,
said something there. You said, we always come out on top. And, I hope people realize that's only because we didn't stop walking back up the mountain. Like it's not like, oh, we came out on top because we had that one big break. You got that one swing and you knocked the dude out and won the match. No, you just kept on walking. Hey, I'm going in this direction. I slipped, I fell. Keep walking. Don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on what your goal is, and then you're going to find yourself back up there. And when you're talking about the kids and fitting in and whatnot, like, dude, I couldn't be happier than to see my kids not fit in with the majority. Like that's a good thing, because right now the majority is not doing too well. It's why conversations like these are pretty rare. You're not seeing a lot of dads talk about these things. And if the kids aren't fitting in, well, it's because they're not following the same tune. If they're not following the same tune, they're not going to turn out the same way most of these kids will turn out, which is like the Zack Stacy's, which is like those who are sitting there, they're addicted to the booze, addicted to the social media, addicted to the screen, always having something, addicted to their phone. No, you're going to have kids who are like, hey, let's go out and do something. Let's build something. What'd you do for family night? Well, we sat and we exchanged shit on crypto. What'd you do? Oh, I haven't spoken to my dad in a week. Sometimes we sit near each other and watch whatever show is on now. Like, you want to be a little different, man, but you also want to understand, like, it wasn't an accident that you can win. You just got to keep showing up. And if you don't quit on you, dude, you're good. But if you're looking for someone else to give you the pat in the back and like, hey, you have permission to succeed, nobody's going to give you permission to do better than themselves. They'll want you to do well. They'll want you to survive. But as long as it's within the lane of what's acceptable right now is mediocrity. If you become exceptional, stand by. You're going to lose a lot of friends and family. If you become excellent, it gets even worse. But you find yourself with individuals who make you better. So you'll have less, from the perception will be that you have less, but in all reality, you'll have more than you could have ever wished for. And, I spent 5 years in high school. I was fucking angry, but I kept going. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'll figure it out. I have a master's degree now. I don't ever flex education because it's pointless. I don't use it, but I did it. And I spent 5 years in high school and I graduated 317 out of 320. And we had like 10 special needs kids. So 7 of them beat me, and I graduated with like a 0.01 GPA. I was a horrible student because I didn't give a fuck. I was just a bad student. I was a very, very bad student. But then I turned it around. Nothing's stopping any dad out there watching this and doing the same thing. Nothing is stopping you from turning that shit around except you. I made it out because I kept walking. Anthony, when he's talking about the highs and lows, we just kept going. You get knocked down, you don't quit. You just fucking pick yourself up, brush it off, and go forward. And that's with addiction. That's with education, relationships. If you end up divorced, it doesn't mean you're a shitty person. It means your marriage didn't work. Keep going. Be a better dad. Be a better you. Learn who you are. Maybe connect again. Get over your relationship PTSD. Oh, I used to hit my kids. So stop hitting your kids. Just keep going forward. Fix it. They're adults. Keep trying. Keep showing up. I mean, what's the other answer? Like, I'm not going to be like, hey, go kill yourself. What does that do? Like, well, hey, just quit. Give up. You're always going to be this way. Then you're already dead. You died before your heart stopped, And that's just not what life's about. So as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, I don't see how you can't make it to where you're trying to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about, with my kids and what I want to show them. There's always another mountain to climb after the one that you climb over. Right. There's always things that you need to keep doing and striving for to pursue that excellence. And with my children, I want them to understand and be, have it be seen as something clear that they can see. That there was a lot of time in my life that I spent around people who didn't push me, who didn't motivate me, and who didn't want to see me do well. And I look back on that and I can't believe that I wasted so much time. Going back to the question I said before, like, where were the people who loved me and cared about me? Why was nobody around me at that time trying to push me to be better? So, and I bring it up, Zach, because we were saying how we want our kids to be weird, or we don't want them to be in the majority. There was a long time where I had to focus on myself and be by myself. And I want my kids to understand that, right? I want them to understand that sometimes it is okay to be by yourself. Sometimes you have to be alone to figure out where you're going and to figure things out in life. But I also want them to know that as you continually build and as you continually get better as a person, that's when you're going to bring those good people in, right? That's when you're going to bring people who really care about you, people who want to see you do well. And the reason and the proof and evidence to that is because it's not a facade, right? It's not, you're not surrounded by people who are fake and people who are using you for their benefit. You're actually creating and building real relationships. So I think if we can be more honest about how we parent, if we can be more honest about the type of men that not only who we are, but who we want to become, those are going to reflect onto our kids. And to me, that's a big part of what fatherhood is about, right? It's seeing yourself and your kids, improving and working on the negative attributes and bringing about the positive attributes that you see in your children. They reflect back to you. So that's one thing that as you go through this process, and it's not that I have it all figured out or you have it all figured out, but we're continually working to get better. We're continually looking to add value to our family, no matter what we do. And I can't emphasize that enough. I think you're muted, or I have no Wi-Fi.
I'm still figuring out this microphone. I'm just kidding. We're new. What's a podcast? No, man, you're absolutely correct. And that's a solid closing point. There's not much to add to that. That's the point of this. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And there's going to be more deeper dives into those discussions. We've got big shout out to our graphics guy, Jorge. I mean, all the overlay you're seeing right now, he did that. All the thumbnails you see, he did all of those. So, and he just had a kid. So I think that makes it like 15 for him. He's chasing platinum. He's up there popping out these babies. But big shout out to Jorge. And again, when you talk about, skill sets, chasing your passion, doing your thing, Jorge's getting after it, man.
What did we give him? 3 hours after the baby was born and he had to get back to
his
work?
Kid was born and like, we tried being respectful. So we're like, all right, it's been 45 minutes. Hey man, we're doing a video and we're bringing a guest on. Is there any way we can, he's like, I gotcha. Knocks it out. But honestly, big shout out to Jorge. Dude, solid. If you need graphics work done, let us know. But I was thinking about some of the dads that have helped us. We were talking earlier about Phil Foster Fitness, philfosterfitness.com. His stuff is literally, that's what's on these shelves now. I've got it in the backdrop because I just bought a shit ton. So I had to put it somewhere in the fucking house because we got tubs and tubs of protein for days and pre-workout. But the point is, that's a father running a construction company, totally reinvented himself. And he's got a teenage daughter sitting and watching it play out. What do you think she's seeing from that? As an adult, you still don't take your foot off the gas. As an adult, the process continues. You've got to keep going. Just because you're a father, and even the way I said that, well, I'm a dad. Well, just because you're a dad, that doesn't excuse you from being a man, from leading, from being an individual who has self-worth. If you're a mother or a father, it's not just about masculinity, feminine, like it's everybody. If you're a parent, you're still an individual. You still need to get the absolute most from life, not at the expense of family, but with them. So and your point, I mean, we can say the same thing differently, and we try to really give every angle on this for people to understand like what it is we're saying, and maybe some different way will click with them. But you absolutely fucking nailed it. Like, that's why we're doing this. These kids need to see it. And we can't just espouse these values. We've got to live them. So when we talk about Jorge, we're talking about Phil, we're talking about these dads who are doing things. All the dads that we had on here who are speaking up. You, man, the shit you're fucking doing, the shit I'm fucking doing, for an example, for my kids. Like, that's why the fuck we're doing it. You know, we're being our best selves, but not at the expense of our family. We're doing it to show them, hey, I am going to ask you to be your best. And I can only ask that of you if I'm willing to do it. So that's why when I point at shit, I point with the fucking knife hand. Because I'm not going to do this, hey, you. Because look, they're all pointing back at me. No, you do this because I got to do this. That's how it works, dude. And it's fucking wonderful to see it happening.
Yeah, man. And to be clear, this isn't from a neurotic OCD level. This is from a balanced strategic plan that we're running at. Right? We're doing everything peacefully, strength, emotional regulation. We're doing things the right way.
I would love for people to come in, because they obviously we're talking masculinity. You don't own fucking sleeves, dude. You come in here, we're bearded dudes. One of us doesn't wear a fucking t-shirt. I got fucking stacks of protein, a harpoon, and Axe and cigars within arm's reach of me. And here we're like, hey, don't take your kids and stop yelling at them. The dichotomy is not lost on us, man. Like, we joke about this pretty frequently, but it's like you come in here, we're like, we gotta be amazing, guys. Like, every day, level 10. Like, dude, before I came in here, I was laying on the couch. Jackie was laying on the couch. The kids are watching a Christmas show. The dogs are sleeping. Dude, a peaceful home, like, I mean, a driven home, a home where everybody's being their best, is a peaceful home. Because I love when I'm like, hey, Jackie, what'd you do? And to kind of like give a little plant a seed for the next one where we talk about, you know, work and whatnot. She's going to be going to school for something. And I look forward to talking about it. She's going to be a fucking college student, 30 plus years old, going back to it, getting back after it for a new degree. Guess what, dude? Still got our foot in the fucking gas. I want to learn something new. I want to go be something. We had our Fraternity of Excellence Zoom the other day, and we were talking about kind of what we did this year, why we're doing it. And one of the gents, actually Marcel, who's been on Oak and Rock, he was talking about certificates. And that's one of the things I'm doing with the group. I'm going to start getting us classes, and a bunch of dudes are going to show up. We're going to get certified in something. Dude, this doesn't end. But when I'm laying there talking to my wife, dude, I have something to tell her. It's not like, how was your day? I don't know. How's your day? I went to the office. No, dude. How was your day? I spoke to Anthony. We yelled at the internet for an hour. We're going to save the world. My buddy built a new business. My other buddy built us some new graphics. He just had a baby. This dude over here is saving the world. That dude's fucking crushed it. Like, I have so much to tell her. And then when I flip it, hey, babe, how was your day? She comes out, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm looking to build this. It's cool to see everybody have something to talk about. Hey, Coda, or hey, son, how you doing? He plays the trombone now. He's going to school and doing these things, practicing for sports. My daughter, gymnastics, cheer. Like, we all have something to talk to each other about. How fucking awesome is that? We're not just in separate places. We don't know who we are. Like, I love telling them what I did, just like I love hearing from them what they did. So it's a peaceful, like, as intense as we can be, we're some chill motherfuckers.
Oh, so listen, it's important to pay attention in those moments also, man, because it happens fast.
I know, dude.
I've been going through it for a long time, and you know, you come out of it and you're like, whose friend did what? Where are you going? What's happening? How is this going? Where do you work now?
What do you do?
It's crazy. It really is. I would say that maybe next week, instead of all this peaceful parenting stuff, maybe we should have an episode where we say who it's okay to hit as a man. Who would be all right to hit?
Why do you do this? Actually, I've got a list, man. I've got a pretty solid fucking list. I'm just going to let it scroll. I'm going to make a ticker. So you know how you can set the fucking thing where it's ticking across? I'm just going to have names. Just fucking names. We'll go through each one.
Oh, man.
Dude, this is good. It's been a great discussion, man. Great talking. Do you have any final words?
No.
All right. For those who tuned in and enjoyed this, look, Anthony dropped some bombs. I dropped some. Make sure you're applying. Hit the like, subscribe, share it if you think anybody would find value in this. And understand, we are two fathers who have figured a lot of things out, but not everything. So if you have something you want to add, drop it in the comments. Shoot us a DM. Ask the questions. Either correct us or work with us and help us bring what you have to say to the masses. And if you do have a voice and you want to talk about it, hit us up again. We can figure something out. We might be able to work a little partnership opportunity where we can make some content. Doesn't happen if you don't speak up. Like, subscribe, share. We will see you guys next Wednesday, and stay tuned for the video this Friday. It is a good one. Stay well.